Well, how does The Matrix hold up today, and what does my teenage son think after watching it for the first time? Stick around to hear our thoughts. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. Changing up my format a little bit, joined by my son Asher, who's 14 years old, and we just watched The Matrix last night. For him, it was the very first time. I've been wanting to show him this movie for years. So we finally sat down. We're going to hear some of my thoughts about the movie after, seeing it again after a good while, and his thoughts after watching it for the first time. So let's get right into it. First, the synopsis on IMDb. This is a spoiler review. We're going to go into full spoilers here.
So you got to go watch it first. So if you don't want to get spoilers, go do that. Otherwise, you're doomed.
For sure. I think even the IMDb description spoils it. When a beautiful stranger leads computer hacker Neo to a forbidding underworld, he discovers the shocking truth. And then they tell the shocking truth. The life he knows is the elaborate deception of an evil cyber intelligence. I know that spoiler isn't at the end of the movie, but man, I love movies that have big shocking moments after 20 minutes that are kept a secret. Okay, So what did you think of just the basic story and the pacing? Was there too much drama, too much talking, too much action? What did you think of how the movie generally felt?
Well, honestly, I think it was kind of perfect in every single way.
Whoa, perfect in every single way. You mean in terms of the pacing, or just the whole movie? You really
mainly pacing, about each level of everything, drama, action, and romance also. There was a bit of romance.
There was.
I noticed, but it was very small.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to get into it in the next two movies.
You might be right. Let's see. It's visually very stylized. The dialogue is often very dramatic and almost poetic, with story and metaphor taking priority over realistic characters and emotions. Remember when Tank, who died, Tank or Dozer? Do you remember?
I don't remember all the names.
Yeah.
One of them, one of the guys who had the smaller roles of the whole movie survived getting blasted by the electric laser.
It was Tank, I remember now.
Okay.
And just speaking of just kind of the emotions, they didn't really give time for that actor to really express those emotions, and I'll get to the actual performance stuff a little bit later, but there's also other details when Trinity pulls the plug out of Neo's head. How does she know when is the right time to do that? And if you watch the behind-the-scenes features, you'll actually see Carrie-Anne Moss asking one of the Wachowskis, how does Trinity know when to pull it out? She can't tell when the Matrix is out. And one of them said, she knows, and they just kept saying that more dramatically and more intensely. And I think what we're seeing there is that this is a movie that is written to be dramatic and symbolic and but not to be logically cohesive, and I think also the way that the humans function as batteries for the machines, that doesn't make as much logical sense to me. They say combined with a form of fusion, human body heat provides all the machines need. I think it would be more realistic for the machines to use humans for their, somehow tap into their brains' processing power, and use that to, not keep them alive, but to make them grow and become more productive. So, the whole idea of humans being batteries, literal batteries for the machines, I think is meant to be more symbolic. I think is meant to be more thematic than it is to really be hard sci-fi that makes sense. There's a lot of logical gaps, I think, in this movie that aren't necessarily a bad thing, but you should be calibrated on a first or a repeat viewing for the style and intent that the movie was made in. What did you think of the actors and their kind of their performances?
I think they were good. By the way, you remember that, the main agent, I keep forgetting his name?
Smith.
Agent Smith, okay. I feel like he looks familiar. I feel like I've seen him before.
You have. Remember the Lord of the Rings? There was that...
Oh, the elf.
Yeah.
The elf.
Yep. And he did that after this, and so I always think when I see him in those movies, I think there's Agent Smith. At least he's on the side of the good guys this time. Did you have, before we get past the script and stuff and the story, did you have a favorite moment in the story or a couple favorite moments? And we can go full spoilers here.
Well, Well, they were doing the Neo thing,
What's the Neo thing?
you know.
Oh, the bullet time thing.
Yeah, the bullet time.
Yeah.
Sadly, though, he still got hit.
A little bit.
Well, yeah, but he still got, like, scraped by one of the bullets.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also like the part at the beginning where I think that was, what's her name again?
Trinity?
Trinity, yeah. She was, like, the point where she, like, jumped in the air and then the camera circled around her, except it was, like, multiple cameras, as you told me.
Yes, yeah, they called that bullet time. And yeah, it's like she slowed down mid-air, but somehow the camera was still moving around her. And it's neat if you look into how that effect was done. They did not do that effect the same way in the movies after this. I think there's a famous old Gap commercial that used this effect too. I can't remember which one actually did it first, but yeah, that's getting into visual effects a little bit. But yeah, let's touch on that at least just briefly. I really love the visual effects of bullet time in this movie, and wish they would have gone to the trouble of setting up those many cameras in future movies, because it doesn't look as good. My eye is cursed to pick out CG replacements, and usually in movies now, when they do that kind of thing, even if it's not exactly bullet time, they'll just replace the actor with a CG version of that actor, you know, and so it doesn't look as cool or realistic to me. But so let's see here. What did you think of the casting? Did you think that everyone was a good fit for their roles? Did you think that the acting was really good, or was there any acting that wasn't very convincing, or what did you think?
I thought the acting was pretty good. Smith creeps me out.
Yeah, totally. He's a real standout.
I can't really think of any other compliments, so I'm just gonna say everyone did pretty good.
Okay.
And also, the pills look like gummies, and I want to eat both of them right now.
I think they look like NyQuil a little bit, except they're, you know, not green. But yeah, the acting is coming back to it. I'm just seeing again. It's very stylized. This movie isn't known for good acting, but that's not to say that the performances are bad. But they lack faux psychological realism, or more something closer to emotional realism, and they trade that for kind of cool posing and being stoic and stuff like that, especially when characters are in the Matrix. And many emotions, grief in particular, seem to only be given lip service. Like when Dozer dies, his brother Tank he screams like no, you know, once, and then shoots a guy. But then when Trinity, you know, asks what happened to Dozer, and you know, he basically just kind of winces. And so they're not giving the time in these movies, and the actors, even in the brief time they have, aren't really diving into the depths of human emotion for those kinds of things. And so it's so stylized and symbolic that. I think that a more realistic style of performance isn't necessarily needed or expected from me, but in the years since this movie came out, I've come to greatly value character performances with more emotional realism, and so I do feel its absence here. Okay, so let's get into the visual effects a little bit more. What did you think about... Did you notice anything about the movie and how it looked outside of the action scenes? I'm curious.
Well, visual effects for the, the machines, I feel like weren't quite complete.
Yeah.
I could, easily see, more animation, than I've seen recently. It's kind of like, what the Grim Reaper looks like in The Frighteners.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Seen that movie?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of that era. There's only about 3 years between these movies.
I'll admit, it is, the machines in the Matrix are a little better than, what the Grim Reaper looks like.
Yeah.
It does, they do, blend in a little more, but they still do look a little fake.
Yeah. 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 There's also, I noticed a lot in this movie, outside of the action sequences, it's very stylized. The colors They put a green filter on things when they're in the Matrix, but on top of that, there are set elements, costume elements that subtly use the color green when they're in the Matrix to kind of give, I think, that DOS green computer type vibe to the Matrix. And there's things done with transitions when a camera is going from one location to another, or is coming from a top-down perspective or some other unusual perspective. There's just a lot of creative perspective, cinematography, and just stylizations in this movie, all over this movie, even outside of the action sequences. And so it really is a movie that's very generous visually in what it's doing compared to, even many movies today. And so I really appreciate that. What did you think about the action sequences, like the kung fu fighting, the martial arts and stuff like that?
That looked very realistic.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. How would you compare that? Do you think that looks more realistic than, say, Batman Begins and the Christopher Nolan Batman movies when there's fighting going on in those movies?
Actually, I would say it looks just as realistic as that, except I would say that both look about the same.
Okay, that's interesting. I remember when Batman Begins came out, there's a point where Ra's al Ghul says to, Ducard, I guess I should say, says to Bruce when they're first training on the mountaintop, he says, like, you have good technique, but this is not a dance. And I think that's because the Matrix had really popularized for a brief time a style of fight choreography that was somewhat dance-like. There's kind of like this very artistic kind of vibe and rhythmic kind of presentation to the fight scenes and the martial arts in particular that Hollywood started to move away from in terms of more shaky cam, so you couldn't see the action as well, action that felt more brutal. I think now we have kind of come a little bit full circle, so we're getting closer to the best of both worlds in martial arts action in movies, artistic and yet still brutal and feels like it has impact. There are times definitely in this movie that even though the action, the martial arts looks really cool to me, it doesn't have the sense of impact, the sense of intensity that I think I've seen in some martial arts since then. And it's, again, there's a lot that could be attributed to, well, it's the Matrix, and so, it being extra stylized and sometimes not looking as realistic might even be appropriate. I think that concept does help the movie age, but let's see here, what else? Just as a side note, I would love to see the Wachowskis do a reimagined version of West Side Story, where they could combine their dance-like fight choreography, their love of music, and their love of action into like a cool, violent, artistic, musical with combat action that's timed to the beats of the music, maybe even providing some of the percussion or something. I would love to just see them go nuts and create a really cool, edgy, modern version of West Side Story with updated music that has like electronic sounds and stuff. Anyway, that's a small little dream of mine. So yeah, I think that the stylized action holds up as stylized action, but I think that Zack Snyder might have taken stylized action to the next level now by making it dramatic and intense and impactful, as well as visually arresting, but still really cool to come back to and watch. Did you notice anything about the music?
It was interesting.
So it didn't really stand out to you?
Not entirely, but I think the music definitely matched with the scenes that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the music at the point where, like, Neo finds, like, his true power towards the end of the movie.
Yes.
As, like, whatever they called him, the Chosen One.
Yes, the One, yeah.
The One, yeah. And he, I think the music, like, perfectly matched there.
Yeah, and that was the orchestral music, and it uses these kind of, like, mirror or echo motifs. This kind of back and forth kind of thing going on. And there's lots of pop and rock music as well that I think sets the mood, like, at least to say, we are cool and we know how to do cool things, you know. I think that's what it's going for a lot of the time. But and I think that just the way that music partners with the visuals just plays up in my mind what already feels like music video sensibilities in the way that they direct these things, the way they use visuals and perspective and all these kinds of things. It feels, much of the movie feels like a music video without music, and then it just takes it one step further when you have the music really involved in helping to drive scenes. But is there anything? There's a lot you probably did not notice, so I'm not expecting you to notice much here. But was there anything like symbolic or thematic that you noticed in the movie? Do you know what I mean by that? Like maybe characters in the story represented things that we experience in life, or people that we know, or beliefs that we have. You know, anything like that.
The part where Neo discovers what the world is really like what the world really looks like, where like the world is being infested by machines.
Yeah.
I feel like it's symbolic to represent what our world is now. It's just full of chaos and violence and stuff like that.
And he's kind of like realizing that for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that this movie parallels what a lot of people experience at some point in their life when they come to realize something about the world that they never took notice of before, or they come to a belief that they didn't previously hold. I mean, certainly as Christians, we can relate to the experience, well, many of us anyway, especially those that have not grown up in the faith, that they come to a moment of realization or acceptance or belief in Jesus for the first time. Or for me, I was raised in the church, but it was in high school for me that my faith really had kind of like this aha moment, and I started seeing the world suddenly very, very differently. And I think that this movie has also, careful we don't want to bump the mic, this movie has also been appropriated, the red and blue kind of thing, for people talking about political things or other, ideology that people should wake up to and believe in, I think that even the liberal expression of being woke could possibly be traced back to the Matrix. And so I think almost all of us can relate to some kind of a light bulb moment like that. But in fiction like The Matrix, these moments very conveniently come about either because of feelings the characters are meant to simply trust and believe in and follow, or because there's just undeniable evidence right in front of them. Yes, I got unplugged. Yes, I'm looking at The Matrix and people plugged in as batteries all around me, But real life is just more challenging. We have to be willing to examine and re-examine our assumptions, guarding against our feelings defining reality for us. And I think this is a movie where a good amount of feeling is driving what people end up believing. And if we fall into that, then those wake-up moments we think we're having might actually be the Matrix in disguise, plunging us deeper into deception. So I think that there's stuff worth looking for there. There's also a lot, there's too much in this movie. I would need to do a long video or even a commentary. I've thought about recording a commentary to this movie for a long time. So there's way too much to cover here. I'd also mention, though, free will and predestination, the idea of choice. Choice is a big word in this movie, and the protagonists want their freedom to choose, and yet Neo is also a figure of fate and destiny. And so the two ideas of destiny, fate, and choice are at war in this movie and in the rest of the trilogy as well. So anyway, yeah, there's a ton here that could be talked about. Now, we have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if we were time travelers, we'd go back in time and say, go back and talk to ourselves. What would you say to yourself like a week ago or a year ago about The Matrix? Would you recommend to yourself to watch it, or what would you say?
Yes, I would recommend it. And also, I would say that Neo supports Donald Trump.
Because the Republicans have kind of appropriated the red pill, blue pill terminology. Is that what you mean?
Well, specifically because Neo took the red pill.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. I think for me, I would say it's definitely worth coming back to, especially to watch with your oldest. This trilogy is going to be your favorite movie. Well, I mean, your favorite movies for nearly. I usually think of them as one movie. For 10 years, this will be your favorite. Well, nearly, not maybe like 7 or 8 years. And I think now it's been surpassed by Snyder's DC trilogy since then in terms of what it does given it being a very stylized movie. But this first movie at least is worth coming back to every once in a great while. All right. Did you have any other final thoughts about this movie or anything that really stood out to you that was really cool?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then those are all of our thoughts on...
Actually, I do have one
all right.
thing. Why did the bullets, when each time when it goes into slow motion when bullets are being fired, I noticed that either it's producing sound waves or something.
The ripple effect.
Yeah, the ripple effect, yeah. Were those sound waves or what was that?
I don't know what they're supposed to represent. The helicopter, when it slams into the side of the building, the glass ripples and bends outward and then explodes. And so I'm wondering if when things are happening in the Matrix that are not supposed to happen, if that's kind of representing some kind of a glitch effect or some way in which Neo is manipulating the Matrix. So maybe in addition to Neo moving really fast, he was also slowing down those bullets a bit or something. I don't know.
Or it's deja vu because it's a glitch in the Matrix. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're supposed to represent, but some kind of a reality is being bent type of thing, I think is what we're meant to think about. But
I don't know what he meant by deja vu, though, by the way.
Oh, have you not heard that expression?
Well, I know what it means. It means, you're remembering something that you've seen before or something.
Yeah, or you think you might have seen before, but you're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot going on in this movie. Well worth repeat visits, even if you've seen it many times. Especially if you've taken a break like I have. I think it's worth going back to if you enjoyed it back in the day. But those are all of our thoughts for now on The Matrix. I'd love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected. I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for all of their support in making so much of my content possible. You can get info about the benefits of becoming an insider over at patreon.com/SpiritBlade Productions. Then, I hope you'll check out our podcast and stay connected to all CGC content over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. Once again this year, I'm raising funds for children in urgent need, this time fundraising for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which provides free treatment for children facing life or death circumstances, and shares its cutting-edge life-saving research with hospitals all over the world. To raise funds, I'm leading members of the Christian Geek Central community in our Game Save 21 event, which you're still welcome to join by following the link in the description below. And once again this year, I'm drawing attention to our team's fundraising by performing a 24-hour marathon of video gaming that I will stream live on youtube.com/ChristianGeekCentral beginning 6 a.m. Pacific Time on Saturday, November 6th. You can donate or get more info by clicking on my fundraising page in the links below, where you'll also find incentives and rewards for doing so. For donating $5 or more, you can choose a topic for me to share my sometimes overly strong opinions on during my live stream. For $10 or more, you get the previous reward and a download code for a free copy of the Spirit Blade Special Edition audio drama. For $20 or more, you get the previous rewards and you can choose a game for me to play during my November 6th live stream. Pick a favorite or torture me with something terrible or rage-inducingly difficult. At $30, you get the previous rewards and you can choose a song for me to sing during my November 6th live stream. Pick an old favorite of yours or just make me humiliate and torture myself with something no one wants to hear. And at $50 or more, you get the previous rewards and a download code for every MP3 product at SpiritBlade.com. That's an $80 value. On top of that, I've set some fundraising milestones that will unlock strange and unusual happenings as I reach them. At $200, I'll have a free download day for everyone who visits SpiritBlade.com on November 13th. And as my total goes beyond $200, I'll unlock increasingly more content for that free download day. And depending how far beyond $200 my fundraising goes, during my November 6th live stream, I will show a photo of me you will never be able to unsee, put on a pair of frozen socks and a frozen t-shirt at the same time, shoot water up my nose with a turkey baster, and have my wife Holly play a video game with me for 30 minutes. And if I reach a personal fundraising total of $500 or more, I will do a 2-hour jump scare live stream before the end of the year featuring only the games that terrify me most, including Dead Space and PT. Now, I don't want to do that, but I know you sick people want to see that, so you're going to have to pay money to make it happen. And if I reach my $500 goal by the end of Thursday, October 21st, I will do a 4-hour live stream on Monday night, October 25th, doing my pathetically absolute best to get good at a game in the Souls genre. Now, there are some stipulations and time limits on those rewards and milestones, so quickly follow the link below to my fundraising page for all the details. I hope that you will be a part of helping me and the Christian Geek Central Game Save team do some good for some kids and families who really need it. And then please join me at youtube.com/Christian Geek Central for my 24-hour video gaming marathon starting at 6 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday, November 6th. Hope to see you then. Oh my gosh. This is all kinds of wrong.